Okay, so big news. Biden pardons marijuana offenses, calls for review of federal law. So this is a big move, and right ahead of the midterms too. He could have done this at the very beginning of his presidency, but it's possible that he feels like he needs to give the Dems a boost ahead of the midterms. Either way, it's good that he did this eventually, right? Same with the federal student loan forgiveness, which apparently might not be going through. There are some lawsuits about that, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. The president will also be urging governors to do the same for cases regarding state offenses of civil possession of marijuana. So, President Dark Brandon on Thursday granted a pardon to all people convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law. That word "simple" is doing a lot of work there. Yeah, what is simple marijuana possession? Does that mean less than a gram, less than a half an ounce, or less than an ounce? Less than a certain amount, probably. Maybe that means like the hardcore drug dealers who had just like ounces of weed on them are not going to get off, which is unfortunate. But if you're going to pardon anyone, it's going to be like the guys who had like an eighth on them and were busted and were put in jail for 10 years, right? And then he called for governors to do the same for state offenses, and then he called on the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to expeditiously review how marijuana is scheduled in federal law. Marijuana is scheduled as a classic Schedule 1 narcotic, meaning it seems to have no medical use and a high potential for abuse. Heroin and LSD are also Schedule 1 drugs. Yeah, so, yeah, the whole schedule, drug schedules is bullshit. Yeah, where's my drug schedule? I want to be on this schedule. Yeah, I want to be on the schedule that has LSD and heroin and marijuana. Honestly, having LSD in here is also BS, because, well, first of all, marijuana definitely has medical uses. A lot of people have acknowledged that. It's used for all sorts of like mental issues and even physical issues. It's used for pain relief, right? It helps with a lot of like people with anxiety. Of course, for some people it actually worsens anxiety, but if it works for you, then it works, right? Some people smoke cannabis, which does not have THC in it, doesn't get you high, but still has those therapeutic effects, you know? And having a high potential for abuse, and marijuana is not addictive in the same way that like heroin or other drugs like meth or cocaine are addictive. Because it's not a chemical addiction. It can be a psychological addiction, like your brain gets used to consuming marijuana, so if you feel like you have to use it, but it's not like a chemical addiction. Like you don't go into withdrawal if you stop smoking weed after a long time, right? And yeah, having LSD on here is also BS. Seems like the government is afraid of hallucinogens, the same way that, because it's all like drugs to these people, right? Oh, LSD, that's a drug, just like heroin. Yeah, it's an intense drug, so it must be the same way. And I guess LSD can be... It's not addictive. It's not like chemically addictive again. It's possible, yeah, it could be like psychologically addictive. It is possible to abuse it, but it's possible to abuse any drug. Yeah, there are stories of people like ODing on LSD or shrooms or acid and just being like, having their brains just be fucked for the rest of their lives. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, yeah, some dumbass is like, oh, I'll take like 20 tabs of LSD and then I'll have like a super intense trip, right? No, you'll just give yourself brain damage and spend the rest of your life in a mental hospital. Yeah. So, yeah, it's all drugs have a potential for abuse, but LSD and hallucinogens in general are a lot less harmful than most drugs, like hard drugs, like stimulants, like heroin or meth. Is heroin a stimulant? Sending people to prison for possessing marijuana has upended too many lives and incarcerated so many people for conduct that in many states no longer prohibit. Criminal records for marijuana possession have also imposed needless barriers for employment, housing, educational opportunities, and while white and black and brown people use marijuana at similar rates, black and brown people have been arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionate rates. Yes, this is all true. Yeah, this is a criticism of like the American justice system in general, where like if you have one felony on your record, it's like no business will ever want to hire you again, because it's like, oh, you committed a crime, that means you're a bad person and you're probably going to commit a crime again, which ironically is sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because it's like if you're just pushed out of the job market and you can only get a job as like, I don't know, a security guard, or like or probably not even a security guard, because like they're afraid like you'll be on the side of the criminals. You can only get a job as like, I don't know, a day laborer, or like I don't know, a maintenance or janitorial staff worker. It does like push you into a life of crime. It's sort of like our justice system is so focused on punishment and just throws rehabilitation out the window. It does the opposite of rehabilitate you. It dehabilitates you, right? It makes you more likely to commit crimes in the future, which is fucked. It's like, wouldn't you want to like reduce the amount of crime being done? Of course, the answer that like right-wing people would have is like, oh, just lock people up for longer, because like they're going to commit crimes again anyway, so you might as well just keep them in jail. But like, it's so dumb. Like, wouldn't you want to reduce the amount of crime being done? Wouldn't you want to like rehabilitate people? And like, if a person is like a criminal, wouldn't you want to like make them a better person, make them not be a criminal, like give them a second chance? We do that, but like man, we don't nearly go far enough. We focus so much on punishment. We like traumatize people. We lock people in cages and just like fucking traumatize them and fill them with so much like anger and resentment and bitterness that like, and like they have to take that anger out on something, right? And yeah, maybe like the European model goes too far in the other direction, where it's like, oh, being in prison is like being in a college dorm that you can't leave, where it's like super nice and like you get to watch TV, you get to play video games. I guess you do get to watch TV in like some American prisons, the nice ones. Most federal prisons probably you get to watch TV, and like, but in like a rec room with like a shared TV, right? Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to like for employers to not want to hire people with like criminal records, because it's like, I guess it sort of makes sense because they're afraid that those people will just commit crimes again, or they're afraid that like, oh, they have character flaws which will make them bad workers. They'll steal from the company or something. But like, mostly unfounded fears those are. I mean, maybe it's true for like some people, but like if someone wants a second chance at life and they're willing to try and like go legit and get on the straight and narrow, then you should give them that chance, right? You should at least give people a second chance, right? Maybe not like a even a third chance, maybe not like a fourth or fifth chance, but like a second chance, certainly. Oh yeah, and housing and educational opportunities. Imagine like, yeah, you can't live in the nice areas of your town or city anymore because you were convicted of a felony like 10 years ago. That's so fucked. Again, this pushes you into like doing more crimes because it's like, oh, you have to go to the lower income areas with less job opportunities and more crime. So they're putting all the criminals in like, they're putting all the criminals in certain areas and then just not letting them have jobs or even education. That's really fucked. Like, you can't go to college anymore if you're a felon. That's cringe. It's like, okay, you can't live in these areas, you can't live in the nice part of town, you can't get educated or get jobs, and if you commit a crime again, we'll throw you in the slammer for twice as long this time. Yeah, it's fucked. And then, yeah, the right-wingers and racists will say black and brown people being arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionate rates is because they commit crimes more, right? It's like, oh yeah, those N-words got caught. And, but yeah, it's, if anything, like, white people do more drugs than black people, like, on average, because white people have that white people money to spend on drugs, right? Because there are plenty of poor-ass white people out there who are addicted to drugs. A lot of white people are addicted to opiates, which are legal drugs. Yeah, it's funny how the drugs that white people are addicted to are legal, and when you get addicted to them, you hit rock bottom. Then you get sent to like a rehab center. Whereas if you're a black person addicted to crack or marijuana or like what street drugs do people do? Meth, ketamine, fentanyl, or yeah, when you do those drugs, then you get thrown in prison for 5 years. That's fucked. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like, the drugs that white people get addicted to are legal drugs, like painkillers. Of course, like, the opioid companies, they're like legit companies that have like whole advertising campaigns to get people or hooked on it and like pay doctors to prescribe opioids. So that's a whole different issue. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that some other time. The President added regulations that limit the trafficking, marketing, and sales of minors should not change, but the states should follow the administration's lead because the vast majority of people incarcerated for marijuana possession in the U.S. are convicted under state or local laws. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Biden is convicting all the people convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law. But yeah, that's only so many people. I would imagine a lot of super liberal cities have already done this, or maybe this will set a precedent for more people doing it. So yeah, of course, yeah, these shouldn't change. Yeah, marketing and sales to minors, yeah, that's like obvious. That's a gimme. The president has been clear that marijuana laws are not working. The president has been considering his options. He is now taking executive action. Yeah, this is clearly not working. It's again, like, our criminal justice system, so-called justice system, it turns people into criminals. Like in this awful system, you get convicted on like a minor charge, and then you get like hardened. You become a hardened criminal in prison, and then you get released back onto the streets, and you're not able to get a job. Like, it's fucked. And then, yeah, imagine like having like one little mistake that just ruins your entire life. That's fucked. I mean, people already have it hard enough in America, but then you like make it impossible for them to like have a decent life just because like they smoked weed. Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. Like, you would want people to like get jobs, right? To just be productive members of society. If you're looking at it from like a neo-lib perspective, you want to maximize productivity and efficiency. And it's like, if you prevent people from getting jobs for stupid reasons, then that's bad for the economy, right? Doesn't even make sense, like from an economic point of view. It's like, yeah, you're ruining someone's life just to teach them a lesson that you shouldn't have smoked weed that one time, man. You gotta learn your lesson. The move, pushed by advocates for months, brings marijuana policy to the fore just weeks before the midterm elections, underscoring just how much the politics of the issue have changed in a short period of time. Polling consistently shows that roughly 2/3 of Americans support marijuana legalization, but despite the popularity of legalization, fewer than 1 in 5 2022 primary candidates mention cannabis reform on their website or on social media. Yeah, a few of them are very pro marijuana, and we'll get to some of those. Those guys are super cool. Yeah, they're super dank. The dankest Senate candidates you've ever seen, and House candidates. Yeah, again, this is emblematic of America's undemocratic system of governance, where popular policies are prevented from being passed just because, like, first of all, our government is just so inefficient at passing laws and updating laws to, like, to better run this country and society. The government is such a lumbering, like, old, slow beast that can't keep up with the changing times. So, yeah, not good. And then the way the government is set up is undemocratic, with like the sparsely populated red areas have like a disproportionate say in government relative to their population, right? Because there are huge swaths of land that have like 10 people per square mile, but representation is given more to the land mass than to the actual people, right? Practical effect, at least immediately, may be limited. Most people in federal prison for cannabis offenses are not in prison for minor non-violent offenses. Yeah, if you're in federal prison, that means you probably are like involved in trafficking, drugs, or what, right? Because federal prison means you got busted for like interstate commerce, mostly. Because like, again, most people incarcerated for marijuana possession are convicted under state and local laws, or local laws. Yeah. It will be in the thousands, the number of individuals affected by this order, which is still a lot of people. Yeah, I think Obama did this towards the end of his presidency. He pardoned thousands of non-violent drug offenders, which is it's cool of him to do. Yeah, on his way out, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna release all the criminals onto the streets to do more crimes and smoke more weed. The dark Obama. The move is remarkable for Biden, a 79-year-old president who has written some of the tough-on-crime drug laws that advocates note led to current incarceration rates. Yeah, this boomer who wrote the crime bill in the 90s, yeah, and was buddy-buddy with segregationists back in the 1970s when he was in the Senate. Yeah, he's a old fossil. Biden was the only presidential candidate in 2020 who did not support federal descheduling, which would essentially make marijuana legal at the federal level. Oh, that's interesting. He was the only one. Yeah, that's at least he's changed his mind on it now. Administration has also said Biden wants to reschedule cannabis to a Schedule II drug, which would make it easier to study. Oh, yeah, that's yeah, for some reason you can't yeah, well, most studies are done by like civilian universities, right? So yeah, most research is done by like universities and not like federal agencies. So yeah, you got to get permission from the federal government to use it, and there's like one marijuana farm in all of America that's like sanctioned by the federal government for research. Legalize marijuana and decriminalize minor possession. Reducing it to a Schedule II drug will do all of these positions. All of these positions legally conflicted. You mean this position conflicted with his position when he was running? Reschedule cannabis to a Schedule II drug. Yeah. I mean, yeah, having it as a Schedule I, which is like the most severe schedule, which is the schedule that I want to be on. How do I get on this schedule? The drug schedule. Yeah, this schedule, I take heroin on Mondays, and then weed to calm down, and then LSDs on Tuesdays, and then after 3 hours I smoke weed to really make the LSD go down easy, you know? That's my drug schedule. 37 states in the District of Columbia have legalized medical marijuana. 19 states have legalized adult use marijuana. 5 states are voting on recreational cannabis use in 2020 midterms in Missouri, Arkansas, North and South Dakota, and Maryland. Yeah, it's the drug-fueled demonic Democrats are sweeping the nation, spreading the devil's lettuce all over the state. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer introduced a bill to deschedule cannabis and expunge some federal records. The bill does not currently have the votes in the Senate to pass. Oh, it's Manchin, isn't it? God damn it. Or is it one of those bills that needs 60 votes to pass? Oh yeah, that's another way, like, our system of government is totally fucked. Like, shouldn't you be able to pass something with just a majority in the Senate? I don't know why you can't. You can pass some things with a majority, but like it's hard enough for Democrats to get a majority in the Senate. We had a majority in 2008. In 2009 we did. But Obama did nothing with it because he's a pussy. Yeah, he was a light Obama. The House has twice passed legislation in the recent years that would eliminate federal marijuana penalties, but with little Republican support, of course. I wonder if Rand Paul voted in favor of marijuana, because he's a libertarian, isn't he? Maybe he would. In addition, a House bill introduced by Reps AOC and Dave Joyce would set aside grant funding for states that want to expunge cannabis-related records. Yeah, you'd want to research cannabis just to see if it has medical uses. It doesn't make sense. Like, you can't study drugs. Like a Schedule I drug is a drug that does not have any medical use, but also you can't do research on it to find out if it has any medical uses. That's kind of a impossible cycle to escape from. That's dumb. Members of Congress have been working well on this issue, with one significant bill passing the House. Significant bill passing the House. That effort has stalled, and we are almost at the end of this Congress. Yeah, this Congress has got to do something in the next month or so, otherwise they'll miss their chance to do anything. Biden's announcement on Thursday appeared to catch much of Washington by surprise. With Democratic congressional aides telling Politico, the rollout was not closely coordinated with lawmakers ahead of time. Yeah, Dark Brandon is just writing executive orders like, all right, Jack, this week we're gonna make weed legal. Next, we're gonna make LSD legal, and then we're gonna open the borders, totally open borders, Jack. We're letting all the illegals in. No human is illegal under my administration. Hell yeah, Dark Brandon. Can't wait to see it. Rep. Barbara Lee, one of the co-chairs, has brought up descheduling up with the administration in the past and did receive a call from the White House prior to the announcement. And Earl Blumenauer also received a call ahead of the announcement. Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman got advance notice from the White House that Biden was going to pardon marijuana offenses and review how it's scheduled. A person familiar with the conversation said, "Oh yeah, well, John Fetterman is totally pro-weed because he's a consumer himself, isn't he?" Yeah, John Fetterman is based. Yeah, he's super cool. The big boy. Yeah. Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor, long a proponent of legalizing weed. Talked with Biden for 20 minutes last month in Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, he's a long proponent. Yeah, he's been a loud proponent of a lot of progressive or like light progressive stuff at least. Fetterman urged him to deschedule marijuana. The review process Biden has outlined through HHS and DOJ won't necessarily result in the descheduling of cannabis. It could simply move marijuana to a lower category on the Controlled Substances Act, something that advocates have been pointing out could complicate medical and recreational marijuana programs in already legal states. Oh yeah, because marijuana is in this weird situation where it's illegal at the federal level, even though it's legal in certain states. So like companies when they open like legal businesses that are legal in the state, when they're dealing with stuff on the federal level, they're still considered like a criminal enterprise. So it really complicates things. Like they have to pay everything in cash. Like they have to pay all their federal taxes in cash, because like the banks don't accept their they can't like send, I don't know, money transfers to the government because they're considered like, yeah, criminal enterprises. Keeping marijuana on the federal drug schedule will mean people will continue to face criminal charges for marijuana. It also means that research will continue to be inhibited and state-level markets will be at odds with federal law. Yeah, that really puts thumb in a bind. Yeah. Biden allied lawmakers encourage him to go further. A review by HHS about cannabis is scheduled as welcome, but those of us who have been advocating for reform, we already know that a comprehensive federal solution is needed. In an apparent nod to that vein of criticism, DOJ promised swift action on the executive order. Swift action. Yes. The Justice Department will expeditiously administer the President's proclamation, which pardons individuals who engage in civil possession of marijuana, restoring political, civil, and other rights to those convicted of that offense. Yeah, but everyone else's rights we're okay with taking away. Yeah. Oh yeah, felons can't vote. That's a big thing. of course, right-wingers will say, "Oh, you want criminals to vote?" Then they'll vote for just pro-criminal candidates, which, yeah, is totally a thing, right? Yeah, if criminals are allowed to vote, then people will just run on pro-crime platforms to get elected. Yeah, right. Of course, they do believe that some, I don't know, prosecutors just let out criminals, or friendly to criminals, but yeah, it's bullshit. The coming days, the Office of the Pardon Attorney will begin implementing a process to provide impacted individuals with certificates of pardon. Oh yeah, and if felons aren't allowed to vote, then that sort of incentivizes politicians to jail their political opponents, right? Like if felons aren't allowed to vote, then you can take away the voting rights of your opponent's voting base by like criminalizing things that those people are into. Right, that's why like Richard Nixon criminalized marijuana, because it was used by hippies and black people, right? He basically just admitted that. Or one of his aides or his colleagues admitted that, yeah, we did it to jail hippies and black people. Meanwhile, and it's why crack was criminalized, but cocaine, powder cocaine, was not, because cocaine was used by like rich white people and crack was for poor black people. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here it is. There are long racial disparities in enforcement of marijuana laws. Black people are nearly 4 times more likely than whites to be arrested for marijuana possession, despite both groups using the drug at roughly equal rates. Of course, right-wingers will say that it's BS that they use drugs at roughly equal rates because, they probably would say the ACLU is a liberal organization, right? And you can't trust any polling. Yeah, after the 2016 election went to Trump, even though all the polls said they wouldn't, all the right-wingers use that as an excuse to say, oh yeah, the polls were wrong about this, so all polling is invalidated now. Sure. Yeah, again, they're anti-data, they're anti-science, they're anti-numbers, they're anti... all the good things, really, because they're too stupid to understand all sorts of things. Legal cannabis industry is projected to hit $32 billion in sales this year, with revenues expected to reach $63 billion by 2028. Yeah, so legalizing marijuana, good for business. It's good for tourism too. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see states that legalize cannabis outcompete the states that don't, because all the money will flow into those states. Yeah, maybe the stoners in the red states will drive to the blue states to spend their money there, to party it up in Denver or whatever, then drive back to Utah, right? Oh yeah, those straight arrow Mormon guys are like, all right, honey, I'm taking a vacation to Denver with the boys. Go hug the kids for me while I'm gone. And then as soon as they drive out of the state, they just tear off their ties and their khaki pants and their white polo shirts and just start smoking it up. They just pull out the bong and it's like, all right, boys, time to blaze it up. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, it seems like blue states are going to outcompete red states, especially if like this whole abortion thing. Because like a lot of women are going to feel unsafe having sex in red states, so like they'll go to blue states to just to feel safe, you know. Or there will be a lot more forced births and unwanted babies in red states, which will saddle woman with the burdens of having to take care of this child and having to pay for it. Having babies is expensive, man. Just like giving birth alone is expensive. It costs like thousands of dollars, which is fucked. Why doesn't insurance cover that? That should really be. Of course, insurance in America is fucked too. But yeah, that really should be covered by insurance. Even when things are covered by insurance, you have to pay hundreds of dollars sometimes for certain things, or they'll overcharge you for like little things. Like some hospitals will charge you for skin-to-skin contact, as in getting to hold the baby right after you give it birth to it, which is so fucked. It's like capitalist, hyper-capitalist, dystopian future, but it actually exists and it is real. Yeah, people vote with their feet, and we'll see. A lot of people are moving to Texas and Florida, but a lot of people are moving out and into like California and like northeast states and whatnot. Yeah, apparently if you're a migrant, you'll get free tickets from Florida and Texas to Martha's Vineyard, which is a pretty good deal. If you ask me, a free ride to Martha's Vineyard all the way from like Texas, the shithole state, or like you'll get run over by an F-150 if you try to cross the street. Hell yeah, sign me up. Anyway, yeah, get ready for all the right-wing outrage about this tomorrow. Yeah, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, all the insane right. Oh, I want to see what Matt Walsh has to say about this, because Matt Walsh is going through it right now. Maybe he'll be too busy reeing about trans people existing to comment on this. But tomorrow Ben Shapiro is going to be like, I never ingested cannabis. It's dangerous and powerfully addictive and causes murder. Thank God it was never offered to me at either of the parties I have attended. Oh, either of the two parties. Yeah. Of course, any parties that he would have been invited to are not cool enough to contain marijuana in them, I bet. Yeah, there are probably the parties where like the debate team listens to classical music and like, ooh, if they're really lucky, they'll get into their mom's wine cabinet, right, and steal a bottle of wine. But yeah, no weed. That's for like criminals. Yeah, the right-wing pundits are going to be all like, oh, Biden is releasing all these hardened criminals onto the streets, and now they're going to do more crimes, and now you're going to feel less safe living in America because you know these criminals are lurking in the shadows, ready to sell weed to your child. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, all these dangerous criminals who were in jail for 5 years for possessing 1/8 of weed in a red state, or got caught traveling with weed in their car, right? Yeah, that's going to be a sight to see. Yeah, whenever Dark Brandon does something actually based, all of the right-winger pundits, all the rightist pundits, they all start reading about how terrible this is. Oh, Biden is literally evil, satanic, demonic. The demon pedo prince himself. Yeah. Yeah, the war on drugs is a war on race and class. Yeah, because, of course, rich people can do all the drugs they want. Rich white people do drugs all the time. Like, do you think those rich white college kids aren't smoking weed all the time and like doing cocaine and like all the drugs, really, just all the fucking drugs that all those kids with like conservative parents. Yeah, when those kids have lawyers for dads who will get them off on anything. And of course, yeah, police patrol minority neighborhoods and like horror neighborhoods even more than anyone else, of course, right? They were gonna name a cannabis strain after Biden and COVID strain after Trump. Yeah, America. Yeah, it's not. COVID is not the China virus. It's the America virus. It's the Trump virus. We should just call COVID the Trump virus. Let's see. The strain should be called Brandon's Darkness. Brandon's Darkness. And we should just call COVID the Trump virus. Yeah, instead of China virus, it's the Trump virus, right? Cool. Brandon's Darkness. Armageddon is trending. Trans rights are human rights. Wow, so many things are trending. I'm not a smoker. Okay, well, good for you. Glad President Joe Biden pardoned those. Yeah, the United States is way behind many countries. It's way behind many countries just like with its justice system, right? Any other... Of course, America's behind all other like developed developed countries, like rich countries, and by that we mean like Western countries, right? Like Europe, Australia, Greenland, Canada, New Zealand. But it's true, like America's still stuck in the past while these guys are living in 2100. Let's see, is that enough for the cannabis segment? I think it is. Well, in conclusion, yeah, Dark Brandon strikes again, and next he will decriminalize all drugs. Just make this a drug party in here. Will be like oh, this is the guy, Charles Booker. This is the guy who smoked weed in a campaign ad. Oh, and he's a candidate for Kentucky. Today's pardons are a critical step to end the war on drugs. Now let's win the Senate race and finally legalize cannabis. Yeah, legalize it. This guy's cool. Yeah, Kentucky needs a cash crop that's not tobacco. Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah, tobacco is a huge cash crop, which means, yeah, tobacco, the big companies are pushing tobacco on on kids, right? I wonder if like the nicotine that is in like vapes comes from tobacco plants. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, yeah, as someone who has been addicted to both marijuana and tobacco, I'd much rather ruin my lungs smoking weed than tobacco, because like tobacco gives you a high that lasts, or like stimulates you that for like 5 minutes or something, like, right? It starts to fade real fast. Whereas weed keeps you high for hours. So much more worth it. Yeah, you got this, dude. AOC says this is truly great news, and for the people to truly be freed from having their lives haunted by unjust marijuana convictions, we must work to expunge records beyond pardoning. There are records beyond pardoning. Okay, yeah, that's not good. Between that and deschedulizing cannabis, we can make huge steps forward for so many communities. Haunted by unjust, yeah. We can't have any hauntings going on. Even though it's spooky season, we want the good kind of haunting, not the legal haunting. Oh yeah, and this is another thing. Hemp, as in like the cannabis plant, can be used for all sorts of things. Apparently cannabis plastics are a thing. Cannabis plastics degrade after 80 days and are non-toxic, as opposed to regular plastic, which are very toxic and degrade in like, I don't know, like a million years. Long after human civilization has crumbled to dust, aliens will still be able to find plastic bottles just floating in the oceans. Yeah. Or just buried in underground. Yeah, it's fucked. Yeah, we should use hemp or that and all sorts of things. Cotton versus hemp. Cotton uses 26% of the world's pesticides. Is that serious? That's fucked. Whereas hemp uses no chemical pesticides. I wonder why. Do bugs just not like eating it? Cool. 26%. You would think pesticides would be used on like food crops, because like the pests would eat the food, but I wonder why cotton has so many pests. Maybe because cotton is grown a lot. Yeah, cotton is such a common crop. Cotton has a growth cycle of 8 to 9 months. Hemp has 3 to 4 months. So less than half. And cotton uses 2,725 liters for every shirt, and hemp uses 680 liters for every shirt. Yeah, I don't think of shirts in terms of liters of water. But yeah, you have to use water to like make any, and you have to use water to grow food. That's a big concern because like of course meat takes so much more water than any other kind of food. And then average fiber produced per acre, 54 to 201 kilograms for cotton, and then 220 to 367 kilograms for hemp. Yeah, that's the highest yield for cotton is lower than the lowest yield for hemp. That's so hemp is really good. Yeah, apparently hemp was used for all sorts of things back in the day, before it was criminalized for whatever reason, I don't know. Because I don't know. Yeah, apparently like a lot of founding fathers grew hemp on their plantations, which were run by slaves, operated by slaves. They ran them, and the slaves picked all the cotton and the hemp and whatnot. Anyway, just another example of why marijuana should be decriminalized and legalized. As governor, I will pardon simple state marijuana possession and offenses and legalize cannabis in Iowa, because we all know Kim Reynolds won't. Yeah, vote for Deidre DeJare if you're in Iowa. Yeah, the so-called Freedom Party is anti-choice, anti-marriage equality, and anti-cannabis. Yeah, the freedom to do what exactly? The freedom to be an asshole. That's what the Republican Party's for. Anyway, yeah, in conclusion, GOP is evil, and they talk a big game about freedom, but when it comes down to it, what freedom are they really for? Huh? The freedom to live in a country that's falling apart? Yeah. The freedom to live under the boot of oligarchs and soulless corporations and billionaires that own and control everything? Yeah. I think not.